Do you have a proper accounting system that tells you what your expenses are, what your incomes are, that every month you can tell what profit there is? Let me see, again, by show of hands, how many of us have got such an accounting system in our business? Able to tell my expenses, I'm able to tell my incomes at any one given time, and I can tell what surplus. Okay, very well. Okay. See, sometimes you would say these are things we already know. Okay, and knowing is one thing, executing can be another thing. Please, let's execute them. Okay, have a proper accounting system. Again, about 15 people. Know your customers, that is your debtors, and collect money on time from them. Next, have a good control over cash handling. Who handles cash in your business? Okay, you know, sometimes one of the biggest challenges we have is we put ourselves into risk. The number one rule about handling cash is that bank all your collections intact. So banking your money helps you to save the money and also put a control of some kind. First, you're able to account for it. By the way, bank is a very good accountant. Gives you a bank statement every month or every time you need it. Then when you're spending, spend with a control system. You know, you make payment, online payment or payment by check and so on. By the way, it's also good when you're putting controls to ensure you have cash handling tools that helps makes it easier. How do customers pay you? Okay, can you have payment through your bank account, in internet banking, mobile banking? All these tools, by the way, Kenya is very much ahead of many countries that take advantage of these. Improve. And then, of course, last but not least, have a good relationship with your bank. Okay? The truth is, the banking system have a very critical role to play in business, my friends. What this means is that whenever you're running a business, ask yourself, does your banker know you? Or do you need to introduce yourself when you run into problems? You let's have a relation with the bank, and the relation is such that you all get even free advice. What we want is to increase the value of the firm by making sure that these cash flow are not subjected to a very high cost out there, which is as a result of the risk, as a result of the costly way we finance our operation, as a result of the costly way we make the business suffer by inappropriate operations. Now, what that means, my friends, is we can see the role of cash, okay, in the management of a business. As an owner, you invest money. That comes into the business, and from there you become an investor. Okay. Number two, you apply that money into business operation and buy assets. The combination of business assets, the farm operation generates more cash. Then you have to decide how much of that cash you bring back to the business. Okay? And then you also have to decide how much of that cash that you pay yourself or pay the owners. I know sometimes people want to ask here a question A and B. How much should I pay myself? How much should I turn back in the business? Of course, this is not an easy question to answer how much. It requires you to do cash flow projection, both family projection and business projection. Then you see how much does the business need? How much does the family need? At some point, there has to be a compromise. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we know things, and eventually we find ourselves not doing them. You know, remember the steps I said at the beginning. Discipline, number one. Let's see. You see, there are many times we give ourselves reasons, people give themselves reasons to avoid doing a budget. Suppose you are now trying to remember what you spent in a business for the last 12 months, where the money came from, where it went. I advise people, don't do that unless you're sitting next to your doctor. You may get a heart attack. I don't know how to begin, okay? You see, many people say, I'm not an accountant. I'm not an, you can combine that with a number. I'm not a numbers person, right? And I noted that many of the people attending today actually families. You have families. I don't think you invite an accountant to come and give you a family budget and you manage it. And I don't think running a family is a small enterprise. It's a major enterprise. So it's possible. And a good thing to note here, my good friends, is remember this. Nobody knows your business better than yourself. The best consultant for your business is yourself. Most of the people you invite to your business will do things depending on what you tell them. Sometimes we think other people are managed, yet they are not as educated as we are, and wonder, do they really write a budget? Some of those are very smart. What they will do is they know their weakness, and they know how to cover for their weakness. Some of them hire the best, the people, to teach them and to take care of the affairs of it. We have captured now the benefits of budgeting in your cash flow. It helps to coordinate and to communicate. See, there's not a better tool of communicating what you need to be done in a business than a budget. And I advise when you're doing a budget, not just a budget of the cash flow, budget for all affairs, including the budget of the time your work has spent in your organization. So, do you know that on average, science tells us that if you have employed 7 people, 1 of them is idle. You pay for 6, you pay for 7, but you get services only for 6. 1 of them is idle. And if there's an easy way of knowing, if 1 of them is on leave, production remains the same, quality remains the same, service is the same, nobody works overtime, nobody works part-time. It helps to motivate workers because they realize that they're able to achieve goals. And also you can motivate them by paying them based on performance. I really encourage performance-based payment. Help managers evaluate themselves and require a pay. I talked about having a day in the month to evaluate things. I meant to have something like this that shows you the cash inflows for every month. So now you compare the budget and the actual so that you can see the direction you're going. Why is that important? Once again, because all this is influenced by the working capital. When you buy goods, you get money tied in the stock. If you bought on credit, very good because you're given a leeway for some period of time. When you sell those goods, cash, thank you, very good. If you sell on credit, again, it takes time to get your money back. So you buy goods, that means you tie money in the store. You sell on credit, you tie money in the customer. Now, that cycle needs to be maintained. That collection needs to be maintained. Now, and you notice that money goes to your purse. Where we are saying cash. Notice that purse has got a hole called overheads, expenses that incur. Okay? And this is where you need to say you have to manage these expenses. Ask the simple question, is it a must that you spend this money? Now, you want to draw a cash flow cycle. This cycle means that you look at the period it takes from the time you buy goods to the time you sell. Now, notice, for example, if you put time, you could say from day 1 to the day customers pay, you could be 75 days. 45 days in the store, 30 days with the customer. Now, if you are lucky to get goods on credit, the days payable cushions you a bit. But let's say you get another 1 month of credit, it only cushions you for that days. You are left with this period we are calling cash conversion cycle, 45 days, 75 minus 30, 45 days. These are the days that you do not have cash. These are the days that you have to get cash from elsewhere because your money is tied somewhere. So what do you want to do? You want to revisit your days in inventory. How can you make the selling become faster so that stock is not in the store for too long? Or how can you manage the process of acquiring your goods, including transportation, so that you reduce the time you have the goods in the store? How can you collect from your customers faster? Did you identify them and put policies, okay, and agree with them when they're supposed to pay? And start collection, not when you run into cash problems, but because your policy says you collect from this point and in this manner. That way you reduce. This cash conversion cycle, it's the period you find yourself exposed and you end up looking for expensive finances sometimes. You look for finances from sources sometimes not very well prepared, right? So you need to manage things. Later on, you look at other ways in which you can manage or in which you can think about converting